If you are just now joining us, it is Game 7 of the 2016 World Series. The Chicago Cubs are up against the Cleveland Indians. It is currently the top of the 10th inning, and the Chicago Cubs are up 8-6. We have Bauer up at the mound, who has pitched Game 3, 5, and now 7. And we currently have Jason Hayward at home plate. The count is currently 0-2, 1 out for Chicago. And their count is no balls, 2 strikes. Let's see if Bauer can hold Jason Hayward and see if he might be the second out of the evening. We have had a pretty unexpected game so far with the rain delay, and let's see if the Indians are actually going to blow this 2-1 lead in the World Series. Or what I say, 3-1 lead? 3-1 lead. They've had a 3-1 lead. Bauer winds up, really trying hard to stay focused, and we have a strike. That now makes 2 outs for the Chicago Cubs, and Javier Baez is now up to bat. That is now 2 outs with the bases loaded. Hayward just struck out with that swing and a miss. If you missed it and are looking for a replay, Bauer has given away 3 hits in the top of the 4th inning, and no doubt Javi is looking to receive some of those same pitches to extend the lead over the Indians. So far, Baez has hit a solo home run in the top of the 5th and 1 RBI so far in this Game 7. Will he help extend their lead over the Indians tonight? And all right, first ball, just a bit inside, moved Javi off of home plate. He had to back out of the box. A swing and a miss for that second pitch. The count is now 1-1. Still 2 outs. Bases are loaded. Earlier this game, Schwarber had a base hit. Almora Jr. was the pinch runner, and Chris Bryant hit a fly ball to center. Then Rizzo walked, and Bryant was able to move Almora to home. If you are just now joining us, another swing and a miss, a cut right down the middle. The count is now 1-2. And from where I'm sitting, it looks like Javier Baez is going right back to his 2014 swings where his head kind of flies off the ball, and it looks like he's taking his eyes off the ball, and we just can't be having that in this Game 7 when we're trying to beat the curse and take home all of the gold. Bauer winds up, and it is another ball. The count is now 2-2, still 2 outs. Bases are loaded. Baez really laid off of that last curveball to make the count 2-2, and we are 1 hit away from making the comeback in the bottom of the 10th inning. Nearly impossible for the Indians. This is coming from 2 fan bases who have been waiting since 1908 and 1948, respectively. So tensions are really high in this ball diamond tonight. There is not a single person who is in their seats. Everyone has been standing and on edge, just hanging on every pitch tonight. Bauer winds up again, and Javi hits it. It is a pop fly straight to center, and it goes straight to Davis, who was just camped out under that fly ball. Once again, the Indians have some catching up to do at the bottom of the 10th inning. 38,000 some people in this stadium hanging on every pitch as we watch this historic Game 7 play. If you are an Illinois native, you are probably well aware of the Billy Goat curse that has been placed on Chicago since 1945. If you are a Cubs fan, you are probably extremely hopeful and praying that this curse will finally be lifted. If this is the first you're hearing about this curse, the curse of the Billy Goat is a sports-related curse that was placed on the Cubs MLB team in 1945 by the Billy Goat Tavern owner. His name was William Ciennes. During Game 4 of the 1945 World Series, which was played at Wrigley, Ciennes brought his pet goat, supposedly his name was Murphy, and they were sitting there bothering other fans, so the pair were asked to leave the stadium, and Ciennes was pretty outraged about that one, so allegedly he declared them Cubs, they ain't gonna win no more. And that was interpreted to mean that the Cubs would never win another National League title for the remainder of his life, which the Cubs did lose the World Series that year to the Detroit Tigers. Talk about a mouthful. And they have not made... They last won the series in 1908. It has now been 108 years since the Cubs has had the potential to bring home that World Series trophy back to Chicago. Supposedly, the curse was broken when the Chicago Cubs played the LA Dodgers and beat them 5-0 in the Game 6 of this year's National League Championship Series. So let's see if the Cubs have it in them to defeat the curse fully, so there is no more questions whether the Chicago Cubs are cursed by a billy goat. We are back in the bottom of the 10th inning. Carl Edwards Jr. is at the mound for the Cubs, making his 8th postseason appearance, and I think we can all say with absolute certainty that this has been the most intense, absolutely intense postseason experience by far. Mike Napoli for the Indians is at the diamond, and we are currently at a 1-ball, 1-strike count, with that last pitch from Edwards Jr. being just a little too high. All game, Napoli has been having trouble keeping up with Edwards' high fastballs, and this inning has been no different, as the Indians are desperate, absolutely desperate for a base hit to hopefully tie it up here in the bottom of the 10th inning during Game 7. Another fastball down the middle. Napoli hits it. It looks like it is going to be foul. In the bottom of the 10th inning, the count is now 1-2 with no outs, Mike Napoli being the leadoff hitter for the Indians. A little history about Carl Edwards Jr. He was the 48th draft pick by the Dodgers in 2011, as he winds up to pitch tonight for the Chicago Cubs. You can just tell the nervous feeling he has based on every deep breath that he takes before he winds up to pitch. Another pitch, it was a high fastball. The count is now 2-2, no outs, with our leadoff hitter, Mike Napoli. Another windup from Carl Edwards Jr., and it was a fastball right down the middle, a swing and a miss from Mike Napoli, and the Cubs are now 2 outs away from making history. Up next for the Indians, we have Ramirez, who is a lefty. And we have our first pitch to Ramirez. It is a strike, no swing from Ramirez. He seems to be waiting on his pitch. It looks like he's going to be really picky with his pitches tonight, which I don't know if he has the luxury to do with 1 out, bottom of the 10th of Game 7. A lot is riding on these next few pitches, and I don't know if Ramirez is going to have the luxury to just sit back and pick his pitches with the way we've been calling them this evening, and especially with Almora's fastballs. Ramirez steps back up to the plate and steadies his swing. Carl Edwards Jr. takes a deep breath, winds up, and a swing and a hit. We have made contact. The ball is headed down the right field line, and it is foul. This ball game has had more twists and turns in this winner-take-all Game 7 than we even have time to recount. This game is for sure going to be studied in the history books, folks, with 2 fan bases that have been waiting eagerly on the edge of their seats all season and all series to see who is going to take it home tonight. 0-2 to Ramirez just became 1-2 to Ramirez. The ball was just a bit outside. Ramirez now taking a few deep breaths before stepping back up to the diamond. I would not want to be in his shoes tonight, folks. Carl Edwards Jr. takes another deep breath. Another ball just a bit outside. And the count is now 2-2 with 1 out. I think Carl Edwards is a little nervous to pitch a fastball straight down the middle because in the 8th inning, Ramirez hit one of those and scored for the Indians after singling. So the count is now 2-2, 1 out, nobody on base if you are just now joining us. Which, if you are just now joining us, you have missed one heck of a game so far. Carl Edwards Jr. takes a deep breath, winds up, pitches one straight down the middle. Ramirez hits a grounder that is bouncing. Goes to Addison Russell at shortstop. He catches the ball behind second, tosses it to Anthony Rizzo at first. Ramirez is out, and the Cubs are just 1 out away from their first World Series win in 108 years. Not a single person is sitting in their seats tonight in this stadium, folks. This is too much of a nail-biter. The energy is so high in this ball field tonight. Right-handed batter for the Indians, Geyer, has stepped up to the plate, and Carl Edwards Jr. has wasted absolutely no time, pitches a ball that drops just past home plate, and it is a ball. The count is now 1-0, 2 out. 2 outs, bottom of the 10th. The score is still 8-6 Chicago. As we wind up for the second pitch, that one's a little low. The count is 2-0. This one's not looking too good for Carl Edwards Jr., His confidence seems to be a little shaken. And I really can't say I blame him. I would not want to be in his shoes right now. As we wind up for another pitch, another ball, that makes it 3 balls. All 3 pitches identical to each other. The count is 3-0, 3 balls, no strikes. What do you think is going through Carl Edwards Jr.'s head? We are now taking a little pause for a little pep talk between catcher Wilson Contreras and Carl Edwards Jr. because it looks like Edwards Jr. really needs it. He cannot be giving away all these balls, especially at the bottom of the 10th inning in Game 7 of this absolute whirlwind of a game, considering the rain delays and everything. He's been able to keep his head on straight so far. I hope he doesn't lose it now. It looks like that pep talk helped. This is our first strike to Geyer in this count. The count is now 3-1, 2 outs, nobody on, and Carl Edwards Jr. winds up, and that makes ball 4. Geyer is walked and now being the only man on first, giving our next batter, Davis, a chance to make this a tie ball game yet again. Buckle up, you guys. It is absolutely anyone's game. Davis steps up to the plate as Cleveland's last chance to take home the World Series. Chris Bosio on the Cubs managing staffs comes out, and we have a little Cubs infield huddle around the mound as the stakes have never been higher. And if you missed it, Davis was the player that hit one out of the park for a 3-run homer to tie the game in the 8th. Talk about insanity. Davis has now stepped up to the plate. Geyer is going to steal second. Nobody cares. 1 man on, 2 outs. The count is now 1-0. There is absolutely no air to be inhaled or exhaled in this nail-biter of a game. I don't believe it. Edwards throws the ball right down the middle. Rajay Davis with a base hit up the middle. Here comes Geyer. It is now a 1-run game. Joe Madden is now making his way back to the mound to make a pitching change. Now that we've gotten that pitching change settled, Mike Montgomery, the lefty, is now at the mound with what could be the final pitches of tonight's game. Michael Martinez is up for the Indians, a career 197 hitter. Our first pitch is a strike. The count is 0-1. And Michael Martinez is a switch hitter from the right side. Our next pitch is thrown a little thrown right down the middle. It is a tap to the third baseman, Chris Bryant, who throws to first baseman, Anthony Rizzo. Michael Martinez is out of here, and the Chicago Cubs have won the World Series for the first time since 1908. It looks like the GOAT curse has been lifted, and the title is headed home to Chicago. The dugout is completely empty. The entire Cubs coaching staff and players have run onto the field screaming and celebrating. There is truly not a dry eye on this November 2nd evening. The 2016 Chicago Cubs are officially history makers. Thanks for tuning in tonight, folks. What a wild season. What a wild postseason. What a wild 7 games. And what a wild final 10 innings of the 2016 Major League Baseball postseason. Have a good night.